father's faith. A father's faith. My brothers and sisters, as we celebrate Father's Day today in the life of the country, we are forced to face the reality that this church, like many churches, is filled with more women than there are men. And so Father's Day can seem like a bit of a challenging day to celebrate. But as we are here and as we are gathering, all today I've been thinking about not just my father, but the father figures that I believe God has put in my life. So often it is easy to focus on the one biological father we have. And when that relationship is a good relationship, that's a beautiful thing. You can praise God for that. But everybody's relationship with their biological father was not necessarily good. And that can make Father's Day problematic or challenging for some people. But I believe throughout our lives, even when our biological father did not live up to be the person that we had hoped he would be, that God places in our lives people to fill in those roles, to step in and to piece together pieces of what we need to help us grow and develop. And not only that, brothers and sisters, but God is calling us, both individually and collectively, to help do that for the generation of people who are coming. Because there are people who are growing up now whose relationships with their fathers are estranged. And they are looking for a community of people to step into that gap. So as we think about, as we reflect and think about Father's Day and what it means, I wanted to look at this passage and look at this father's faith and the example that this father's faith provides as we reflect on the people who have played these roles in our lives and also what we are called to do in the lives of others. The first thing I want to note in this passage, my brothers and sisters, is that the boy that is the center of this text we see is demon-possessed. And for those of you who have heard me preach about this topic a couple of times, you might remember me talking about what theologian Obi Hendricks has said about demon possession in the New Testament. That demon possession was not something that we can make akin to illnesses that we see and understand now, but that demon possession really is a confluence of events that happens in particular points in times throughout history. It is something that happens when the spirit of a person is broken because they have been forced to live out a lie, that who they know themselves to be is in conflict, is in such deep conflict with who they have to present themselves in order to survive in the world, that something within them breaks. And in that breaking of the spirit, it enables something at war inside of them to come out and do physical harm to them. And Obi Hendricks notes that it's not just in the New Testament that we see this, but Frantz Fanon in the book The Wretched of the Earth, in the later chapters, as he's describing what's happening as the French occupy Angola, is describing phenomenon that is similar to what's happening with people who are demon-possessed. That people are throwing themselves literally in painful situations that ought to kill them and are not seemingly feeling the effects of it, even though their bodies are suffering the effects of the pain. My brothers and sisters. And so this is what this boy is experiencing, that the truth in him, the truth that he knows of himself is in direct conflict with the life that he is forced to live under Roman occupation, to the point that his spirit has been broken. And so in his brokenness, he throws himself onto the ground. And as his father says, he throws himself into the water or into the fire because self-destruction seems better than life in this tragic existence that he is forced to live. And my brothers and sisters, it's important to just stop as we talk about what is happening with so many young people in the world that we are growing up in, as we hear about the number of young people who are committing suicide and the rise of that in our communities. Brothers and sisters, at one time we talked about suicide not being something that impacted Black or African American communities, but suicide was something that other communities experienced. But whether or not that was ever true, we know that it's not true right now. And we are seeing the numbers rising of young Black youth who are giving up on life at an age that is so early that it is heartbreaking. As they are wrestling with the realities of their life and the tragedy that they see all around them, and they give up on life. Or we see people who are maybe not physically taking their life, but are making decisions that are destroying their life at such early ages, making decisions that seem to be throwing their life away. Because the reality that they see around them is forcing them to live an existence that's in conflict with who they feel themselves to be, brothers and sisters. And this is why it is so important as a church that we are thoughtful and intentional about our witness with people, particularly with our young people, but not just with our young people. It is why it is important to me that the church be a space that is open to everyone to come in, as the songwriter said, just as I am without one plea. That we don't set a litmus test of who you have to be or what you have to look like or how you have to talk about or identify yourself to come into the space, but that this space is a space that is so open and so loving that no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter how you see yourself, that you can find a home and presence here in people who love you here, my brothers and sisters, because if people can't find love in the place that we say they come to meet God, my brothers and sisters, I'm not sure where else they can feel it. If we are expecting love to exist in a public education system, my brothers and sisters, that is so far underfunded that even the teachers who want to do a good job don't have the resources to do a good job. If we are expecting love to be there, we're missing the boat, my brothers and sisters. And while we hope love is in the home and that each home is a loving place, we know the realities are that some homes are not places of love and safety, that some homes are places of trauma and tragedy, my brothers and sisters. And so in the church, in this space, the reason we call this an ark of safety is that if people can't experience love anywhere else, we hope they can experience love here in this place. My brothers and sisters, that's why we take time at the beginning of each service to take a moment just to share, to give a handshake or a hug to a brother or sister, because you may not know that might be the only time this week somebody smiled at them. That might be the only time this week somebody reached out to offer a handshake. That might be the only time this week they got a hug. And if they don't get it anywhere else, they ought to be able to come and get some love here in the church house. So this boy who was demon possessed, this boy who had such a break inside of him that his body is being destroyed, even while his mind or emotions seem to be disconnected from the actions of his body. This father sees what is happening, and this father takes what I believe are 3 steps of faith that I want to point out to lift up today. The first thing that the father's faith does is that the father's faith surrounds itself with support. That's important, my brothers and sisters, because we live in a day and time where the myth of the individual is being perpetuated at what seems like an unprecedented rate. That more and more we see people making claims of having made it on their own, of pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps, of being self-made, of not needing the support of others, of not needing anybody else's help. I can do this on my own. We are seeing it everywhere, my brothers and sisters. And that's all a myth. The truth is there are no self-made people. Nobody makes it on their own. That success is a communal event, that there are people who pour into each and every one of us. And the reason that anybody is successful is because they've had a network of people, even if that network is informal and sporadic, there have been a network of people who have seen to it that the person can reach success. And we don't celebrate the network all the times in the biopics that come in the movie theaters. We don't celebrate the network all the time. We see success as the heroism of a singular individual who rises above challenges to get where they're going. It was just a couple of years ago, around Father's Day, they had a post that celebrated LeBron. And they said that LeBron James made it and became a successful athlete, a successful father with no positive male role model in his life. And I was like, that's not true. He might not have had a good relationship with his father, but there were males in his life. He had uncles. He had big brothers in the community. There were teachers. There were coaches. There were individuals that looked out for LeBron each step along the way. None of us make it by ourselves. And so to think that we need to be by ourselves in order to find success, my brothers and sisters, is a misnomer. It's a myth. My grandmother would say the devil is a lie, my brothers and sisters, that we are not designed or created to exist on our own, but we are called to live in community. Didn't you hear the worship team just sing the song, I Need You, You Need Me? We're all a part of God's body. We are called to be in this thing together, my brothers and sisters. The fact is that even the God whose image we are made in, even the God whom we worship, even the God who we say sits alone and there are no other gods like our God, even that God exists in divine community. The three persons that we describe in our Trinitarian God, the Creator, the Christ, and the Comforter, my brothers and sisters, is God existing in divine community. So that when we experience God, it is not a singular experience, but it's a communal experience. And if God exists in community, what makes us think that we are designed to go through this life alone? But God calls us into community, my brothers and sisters, and the church is one place where we come to be in community. This father sees that his son has an issue, and he does not try to deal with it on his own. But he brings his son to a place where there are people who can support him as he is trying to deal with this challenge that his son is facing. He doesn't try to hide it or mask it. He doesn't try to explain it away. He doesn't just talk about it as a boy being a boy. He doesn't try to shield it from the community, but he brings this boy to the disciples to find a circle of support. The Father's faith surrounds itself with support. The second thing that we see, friends and family, brothers and sisters, is that the Father's faith stays strong despite the setback. Now, I know you don't see the setback in the action of the text, but the Father describes the setback when Jesus comes down. Because even though we encounter the Father for the first time when Jesus descends down the mountain, my brothers and sisters, the Father emerges into this community at the time when Jesus is away. Jesus has gone up the mountain to pray. He's taking Peter, James, and John with him. And so they are all up in the mountain praying. And as they are praying, my brothers and sisters, or as the scripture tells us, as Jesus is praying, and Peter, James, and John have fallen asleep while Jesus is praying. While Jesus is praying and communing and talking with Moses and Elijah, here comes the Father bringing his Son to the disciples. Now, I don't know who spoke up first, but if I were to use my theological imagination, I would imagine it would be Andrew. Because after all, Andrew is Peter's brother. And so Andrew just seems like the type of person that would say, when Jesus and Peter are away, I'm the one that's in charge. And so here comes this father with his son to the disciples. And mind you that Jesus has already sent the disciples out with the ability to go and do what Jesus has done all around in different communities. And they've had success. They've gone and preached revivals. And they've gone and prayed for people. And they've had success in other places. So this wasn't the first time they've been confronted with a challenge. And so Andrew was ready as soon as the Father comes with this. And so Andrew says, I got this. And he prays for the Son. And nothing happens. Then maybe one of the other disciples, maybe Bartholomew, who we never hear about in the text, maybe Bartholomew says, let's take another crack at it. Bartholomew opens the hymnal and begins to sing a song. And as Bartholomew begins to sing a song, Brother Thaddeus gets down on one knee like the deacons in the old church. He said, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy. We come to you right now because this Father has come with his Son who's thrown himself down on the ground and thrown himself in the fire. God, we need you right now to heal this boy. And he's praying the best prayer he can, and nothing happens. Now, it would be one thing, my brothers and sisters, if this were a private failure. But the Bible says that a crowd has emerged. And so now there are people who are watching the disciples' failure. The scribes and the Pharisees who have been looking for ways to pick at and poke at Jesus. The scribes and the Pharisees, the very same people who we talked about a couple of Sundays ago, bringing the wedge issue to Jesus, trying to divide Jesus from his followers. They are now entering into an argument with the disciples. And what began as a father looking for healing for his son now becomes a theological debate around the Father. And I don't know about you, my brothers and sisters, but if I came to people looking for help and could not get the help that I needed, and then the issue that I had seemed to be overshadowed by a debate that had nothing to do with my issue in the first place, I might get frustrated and go home. I might decide it's time for me to go somewhere else. I might decide that maybe this Jesus person wasn't worth the time or trouble after all, my brothers and sisters. But I'm so glad that this father did not give up. But even though he experienced a setback, he stayed strong in the midst of his setbacks. My brothers and sisters, somewhere we have gotten the notion that once we become Christians, that once we become the followers of God, that once we enter into relationship with God in this space, that our life should be easy, that once we come into a church community, that everything should just follow and flow easily, my brothers and sisters. But that's not what the Bible says. The Bible never promised us a life on flowery beds of ease, my brothers and sisters, but Jesus said to his disciples, in this life, you will have trouble. But he didn't stop there. He said, but do not fear. But do not be overwhelmed. setback that make you give up.
Amen.
My brothers and sisters, don't give up during the setback, my brothers and sisters, because the setback might really just be a setup.
Come on.
What seems like a setback right now might just be a setup, my brothers and sisters. If you will indulge me, my favorite time of the year has just concluded, the NBA basketball season. And I remember 2 years ago when Kawhi Leonard had hurt his leg. And he was out of the NBA. He couldn't play any more in the playoffs. And then all last year, Kawhi Leonard could not, or all the year before, Kawhi Leonard was unable to play. And people questioned his heart and they questioned his ability. And they said he's not really that good of a player anyway. He was just in a good system. And then he decided he wanted to leave San Antonio and go somewhere else. And he ended up in Toronto. And people said Toronto wasn't going to have a chance. They had given up one of their best players. And it just wasn't going to happen for them. They said Boston was going to be better. They said Philly was going to be better. They said Milwaukee with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is the best player in the NBA now, is going to be better. And nobody gave Toronto a fighting chance, my brothers and sisters. But Kawhi Leonard never listened to what other people were saying. He did not let the setback stop him from being who he knew he was supposed to be, my brothers and sisters. But every day he got in the gym. Every day he worked out. Every day he prepared himself because he knew the time was coming when something great was going to be required of him, and he wanted to be ready when that moment came, my brothers and sisters. And so just a few days ago, for the first time in the history of the entire country of Canada, a Canadian basketball team won the NBA championship because Kawhi Leonard did not give up in the middle of his setback. If he had listened to all the sportscasters talk about him, he might have given up. If he had listened to all the people tweeting about him, he might have given up. But he did not give up, my brothers and sisters, but he treated his setback as a setup for a comeback, my brothers and sisters. This is why I don't want you to give up, because your setback might just be life setting you up for your very own comeback. Now, I see your neighbor doesn't understand this the way I'm saying it, so maybe you can help me. Won't you do me a favor? Won't you turn to your neighbor, gently touch your neighbor on the shoulder so you don't startle them, and say, neighbor, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Because your setback might be a setup for your comeback. Now, I'm looking at your neighbor, and I'm not sure they believe it the way you said it. So if you can do me a favor and get your best Sunday morning Father's Day voice on and turn and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, don't give up. Because your setback might be a setup for your comeback. My brothers and sisters, I want you to don't give up, don't give in, don't throw in the towel during your setback, my brothers and sisters, because God's got a comeback for you.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Hallelujah.
My God.
His father's faith surrounded itself with support. His father's faith stayed strong despite the setback. The third and final thing is that his father's faith sought out strength.
Thank you, Lord.
Even when the father was surrounded by supportive people, and even though he stayed strong during the setback, there is a gap between when he received the support, and there's even a gap between the time he stayed strong and the time that the healing he came for actually showed up. There was a gap in between that time, my brothers and sisters, and I don't know your experience of it, but when you are waiting for something that you desperately need, sometimes seconds can feel like minutes.
Yes.
Minutes can feel like hours.
Yes, Lord.
Hours can feel like days, and days can feel like weeks, if not months. my brothers and sisters, it seems like it's never going to come or it's never going to show up. That period of waiting can seem like it takes so long, and with each passing second, it's easy to begin to lose strength. And I want to say this particularly about this father because especially the way that men are socialized in this society, we are socialized that we've got to be tough all the time. We are socialized that we have to be strong all the time.
Yeah.
We are socialized that we cannot show any hint or sign of weakness, any hint or sign of emotion, that is somehow unmanly, my brothers and sisters. But that's not the truth. The fact is that this father is in such a mature place with his own self that he is willing to acknowledge that he needed help.
Yeah.
And so Jesus says all things possible for them that believe.
Yeah.
And he says, I believe. Help my unbelief.
Yes. Yes.
He is acknowledging that two things are true at the same time. Both I believe.
Yes.
And there's a part of me that doesn't believe, and so I need help with that unbelief.
Yes.
My brothers and sisters, what I want to tell you is that belief and unbelief are two sides of the same coin. They are not opposites of one another. They are actually part of the same thing. That if we have no unbelief, then we really have no belief.
Come on.
But belief is the thing that holds us even in the presence of unbelief.
Yes.
Belief does not eradicate unbelief, but belief sustains us even when unbelief is circling all around us. To put it another way, my brothers and sisters, that vulnerability and courage are not opposites of one another, but they are two sides of the same coin. That you cannot be truly courageous or you cannot be truly brave if you are unwilling to be vulnerable.
Yes.
My brothers and sisters, that bravery is not the exclusion of vulnerability or the casting away of vulnerability, but bravery is the embracing of it and willing to walk forward even in spite of it. This father says, Lord, I believe.
Yes.
Help my unbelief.
Yes.
And notice in this, my brothers and sisters, that Jesus never says a word about the Father. He does not condemn the Father for his unbelief. He does not judge him or belittle him. He does not cast him out so he can do the miracle in private. He doesn't do anything except for heal the boy.
Yes.
Because that's the way God treats us, my brothers and sisters, that when we have our doubts, when we have our questions, when we feel unbelief rising within us, that God doesn't push us away, my brothers and sisters, but God draws us closer to God's self in the midst of that unbelief. That is when God wants to hold us the closest, my brothers and sisters, because God knows and understands. The truth is, my brothers and sisters, that so oftentimes we try to dress up our unbelief. We try to hide it behind religious words and phrases. We try to hide it behind our favorite scriptures. But it's okay to express your unbelief, my brothers and sisters, because God already knows that it's there. And you're not hiding it from God. All you're doing is hiding it from yourself and not able to let God's love shine on even those places of unbelief. But I want you to know that not only does God know about the unbelief, but that God loves you in spite of the unbelief. That God does not require you to believe perfectly in order to experience God's love. God does not require you to believe perfectly to experience God's grace. God does not require you to believe perfectly to experience God's peace. But God invites you just as you are. Unbelief and all into God's presence. They're in God's presence. God is able to both deal with the situation and deal with the unbelief. God is able to hold both in God's hands, my brothers and sisters. There is enough love, enough joy, enough peace, enough of the flow of the Spirit of God to be able to deal with what's happening inside of us and outside of us at the same time if we have the courage to open ourselves up to God. I'm so glad that this father had the courage to seek out the support that he needed. I'm so glad he had the courage to stay even during the setback. And I'm so glad he had the courage to ask for the strength that he needed. God provided, my brothers and sisters. God held him strong during that waiting time. God gave him the strength he needed until his son, so that even when his son fell down and other people said, oh no, Jesus killed the boy. The boy is dead. That the father is still there holding on, even as the unbelief is rising in him. There's enough belief there to hold on until Jesus reaches down and grabs the boy by the arm and lifts him up and stands him on his feet. And that is what God is able to do in each of our situations, my brothers and sisters. God is able to reach down into our situations, reach down into our circumstances, reach down and grab even the things that we thought were dead in us or around us and lift them up and give life back to seemingly dead situations. And I don't know about you, but I just praise God for a God that's able to bring life to dead situations, my brothers and sisters. I give God praise for God's goodness. I praise God for what he is able to do. Because I know God has done it before. And I believe that God has done it before. God can do it again. We have a practice here at Beloved Community Church that we call response to the word. It's our way of acknowledging that God doesn't just speak to me because I'm the person up here with the microphone, but that God desires to speak to and through each and every one of us.